right, guys, I'm going to spare you the misery of listening to Jeremy's intro. So welcome to the Cultivate and Keep podcast. I'm Corey.
And I'm Jeremy. Welcome to the Cultivate and Keep podcast.
Nice, dude. You nailed it. Psych. Glad you're listening with us. We're now halfway through the 2-week challenge. The challenge is not over. Please go to cultivateandkeep.com/challenge. If this is your first time listening, which I hope it's not, but if it is, actually, no, it could be with people sharing. This is the next one up. We are doing a 2-week challenge where Jeremy and I challenge ourselves to do an episode and blog post a day for the first 2 weeks of December. In return, we challenge you to share the podcast in return again for a chance, or not, I guess not a chance, again. Opportunity, yes. It's all about the perspective. Opportunity to win a Kindle, a book of your choice, exclusive limited time run of Cultivate and Keep merch, etc. You'll find out all the details if you go to cultivateandkeep.com/challenge. And with that, we will get started.
Yeah. Good job, Corey.
Thanks, man.
So proud of you.
Yeah.
So what's up for today?
Okay. Well, we wanted to talk about the idea of reactive. Oh, there we go with the idea. Dang it. Okay. We wanted to talk about.
It's hard. See, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's a natural way of talking about subjects.
We want to talk about the concept of reactive versus proactive.
Yeah.
I think, were you the one that wrote this idea down?
Yeah,
or was it me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like a proactive approach to life is kind of ingrained in like the LeBon family. That's like, if you know my dad, like, or my sister, like that's just like how they are. And so I've like been raised in this way to be proactive about, you know, whatever comes my way in life. And when I in the past, when I haven't been proactive, like there was a consequence growing up, you know? And so I was thinking about the contrary, which is obviously being reactive, whether that's you know, emotionally or whatever that is. So yeah, today I want to talk about the concept of being proactive versus reactive, and that mindset, how that works.
Yeah. So maybe we should do a little like definitions really quick just to kind of level set. But when we're talking about reactive, we're talking about a response to something, right? We're talking about like looking at something and then acting according to what's happening.
You see.
Yeah. Whereas proactive is more of like in the context of being like preventative, or maybe it's in preparation for, or proactive could be like I am setting myself up for something, or I'm looking to the future for something.
So
right?
like practical examples would be, okay, you know, like a grocery list or things you need around your house. You know, you can keep a running list and be prepared and keep things stocked, and so you're proactive. Or, you know, you react and you run out of toilet paper and then you're on the can and there is nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Then
you're reacting to your
that actually
circumstances.
was a good like, analogy, but
That's
a more like serious note. I would say like being prepared for I think like work scenarios. So like whether it's a meeting or a presentation, whatever it could be, but being prepared, you're given a message, you're whatever it is, like, so being prepared ahead of time. And I think it's so easy in our culture and just our busyness of life. I think I would say I want to say that, I don't know this, but I want to say most people live in a reactive state, and not because we're lazy or whatever.
Our perception is
I think we're so busy though. I think we're so busy and our life is so full that we, and I included, get stuck in this reactive state of just really life happening to you.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I'm glad that we're talking about it, because, and I'm glad actually we don't have like any like strict kind of structure or guidelines for what we're talking about, but I think it's true that it's both applicable to kind of your personal life or hobbies or relationships, but it's also really applicable to work. And maybe we can talk about kind of the applications of both. But when I think about reactive, like this is kind of like the way that I lived for a long time. And I feel like they're very opposite ways to live, and in very like subtle ways, but over time they build up to be very different paths in life. So reactive to me was like every day I'm going to class and I'm reacting to what's happening, like to what new homework I have, to what, you know, games I have that weekend or sports. I'm reacting to relationships. And a reactive state of mind is really just like everyone, you know, always says like be in the moment, be present, like only live today, you know, live today like it's your last day. And I think that's dumb, because if you're always living a reactive kind of lifestyle, then you're never setting yourself up to be better in the future. And whereas proactive is even going as far as ignoring what's happening in the present and only working towards the future.
So when I think of proactive, I think of like a week by week like grid, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
if you're reactive, you probably are someone that, you live your life in the moment, day by day, whatever comes up that day, you're going to figure it out as you go. But if you are being proactive, I gotta think of it week by week. And so what that looks like is, okay, maybe it's a Sunday night or a first thing Monday morning. You plan out that week. You plan out, again, in your work life, personal life, relationships, whatever it is, you plan out what is it that week you want to be intentional about. And because of, I think, how busy we are, we don't do that. But when I think of being proactive, that's what comes to my mind.
Yeah. And maybe so the few things that I did write down, maybe like some of the symptoms of reactive life, because again, I think a lot of people don't realize that they're living a very reactive
I think
lifestyle.
we should start with like asking, like, are you living a reactive life, like for yourself? Like think about that, because you're right. With these notes, I'm asking myself the same questions, and it's like where I'm realizing in areas where I'm for sure being reactive.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have things like maybe you wonder where your day went, or sometimes you feel like you didn't accomplish anything at all. Or maybe you feel like you don't have any control over your life and how to spend your time. Maybe you even wonder why bad things happen to you and not to other people. Or maybe you spend so much time helping others that you forget to take care of yourself. And these are just, again, a very few kind of examples and anecdotes of what a reactive kind of lifestyle means. But again, as you're looking at this and you're kind of wondering like, oh, shoot, this is kind of me. A lot of times I wonder where my day went. In fact, I think more often than not in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, gosh, I haven't done what I really want to do today. And that's frustrating. And so I'm just reacting every day of like, well, today was bad, and I'm going to react to how today was, and I'm going to look at my schedule like the morning of, and then I'm going to have to change my plans, or I'm going to have to not, make sacrifices for things that I wanted to do and for other things that I'd maybe rather not do. But living a reactive lifestyle for me is really frustrating. It's also really draining. Like if I'm just constantly reacting to things all day, I find that like terribly exhausting. You're
spinning your wheels and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just kind of making up for what's happening, but you're never kind of building up for what's happening tomorrow.
I'm thinking like, so one thing we like to do with every episode is think what is like the biblical perspective on this. So as in my head, like thinking about this, I want to jump to the conclusion of saying, obviously, the biblical thing is being proactive. So that's like my first hunch, and just like thinking through some scriptures and through ideas. Daniel Esslinger gives a really good sermon on the idea of the perspective of this one actually is the idea. So the idea of like the kingdom of God is all about advancement, and also reminded of that verse in Romans. I don't know the exact reference, but says, "Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What kind of house will you build for me?" So both of those ideas and require us to be intentional and purposeful in what we do. And if we're being reactive, how can we further and how can we advance the kingdom of God? Now, how can we build a better home for God if we're just being reactive every day? Being proactive and being intentional about what we do, I think better equips us and puts us in a better position to be able to accomplish those things.
Yeah. So maybe we can kind of talk about some of the things that we've done that have made us a little more proactive. And again, no one's going to be perfect. We're not perfect. There are still a lot of things that we're reacting to. But what are some of the things that you've done that made you more proactive?
So one I started about 2 years ago was measuring my success and measuring what I accomplished. And I forget how it goes, but there's a saying that says like something about you don't know what you can accomplish, what you don't measure, something like that. And so when I measure myself, when I set a clear expectation or a goal for the week, whatever, again, if it's professional, personal, whatever it is, I have something to kind of fall back on to know, how did I do this week? I think if you aren't measuring like what you want to get done, if you aren't being purposeful, then you're easily going to fall on that track of being reactive. But when you have things you want to accomplish, and when you don't accomplish them, it's pretty easy to kind of see where you landed. So for me, measuring,
Yeah. I think of a great analogy to this. The analogy falls short in some ways, but there's the old analogy of kind of different ways to fill a jar. And so some people, usually how their day goes is that they'll start with putting in the sand in the jar. So think about it, if you had, 5 big rocks, 10 small rocks, and then like a pile of sand. Well, the only way that you can get all 3 of those things in there together is to put the big rocks in first, and then the small rocks, and then the sand, because the big rocks are what's most important. They're the least flexible, so you have to put those in first. The small rocks find the crevices in the big rocks, and then the sand fills in all the gaps. So if you try to put in sand and then the small rocks and then the big rocks, you're only going to fit like 1 or 2 big rocks. And I feel like that's kind of the story of my day a lot of times, is that I start my day off with all of the sand, all the like literally meaningless things. Like I'm going to go answer some emails, and I'm going to go run an errand, and I'm going to wake up late, and I'm going to, maybe feed myself a little bit. And then as my day goes on, now I'm trying to throw in small rocks. And then at the end of the day, I have this big rock of like, now here's what I actually wanted to get to today. And now I can only fit in 1 of the 3 things that I really wanted to do. So I think a big thing for me is starting your day off with, quote, the big rocks, or starting your day off with the most important things. So the best proactive thing that you can do is to give the time and attention first to what's most important. So this is something I've been really working on actually the past like month or 2, is waking up earlier and then doing the most important things in my day first. So I'll wake up and I'll eat. And then what's really important for me is working out. So I'll do a workout. I'm working out 3 times a week now. But I'll also walk Remy, my dog, every day because that's important to me. But then I'll also spend that time listening to podcasts. I'll do my devotions, and I'll do some reading. And then by 9 a.m., by the time I work, now I feel like I've already done really the most important things for me, which was to exercise and to learn and to stay in touch with God. And then after that, it's kind of just the small rocks. It's the things at work. It's the errands you have to run. It's the other things you need to tie up. And you can answer the email and stuff. But if you start your day off with very reactionary things like email, like social media, like, text from friends, then the big things aren't ever going to get done.
At my last job, you might remember this too. We had this thing we would do called a WIG, which was a wildly important goal. Monique, but we had to do it too, right? Yeah. And so at the time, I thought it was stupid and never really took it that seriously. But the concept of a WIG is they talk about how the workplace is kind of like a whirlwind of just chaos, right? There's so many things going on. We most of the time we have a plan, but just life happens, work happens, and kind of things become chaos quickly. So a WIG, a wildly important goal, is you would identify one thing that no matter what, you were going to get done that week. So in the midst of the whirlwind of the craziness, you are still going to get that WIG completed. Looking back at it, again, at the time I thought it was silly, but now, I think there's power in that, and that's a good thing to do. And so for me is kind of recently I've been every week identifying, okay, what do I have to get done this week to further myself, in this area or that area? Like what has to get completed no matter what? And I've just decided I'm going to work until it gets done. And so I think identifying what you want to finish, I think breaking it down week by week or even day by day is good. For me, I can easily become overwhelmed if I think about all the things I want to do. It just becomes overwhelming. So I would say writing things down, kind of piecing together day by day, week by week. Also, I would say maybe like taking a step back from whatever's going on, because so for me, when I get into a rhythm of being overwhelmed and a rhythm of kind of being out of sync, it's I kind of fall back in just reacting. But
so
it's
hard to get out.
Stepping out, whether it's like a little weekend trip or just a day off work or something to remove myself from day to day to kind of recoup, has been for me really powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too. Like when I've heard, I forget where it's from, but I've heard that it's very important the way that you start your day. So if you start your day waking up late and then you have to rush and you have to try to get the things done and you're showering, you're eating, and you're out the door and now you're rushing to work and then you're late to work, so you have to catch up on things. And then it's just kind of this chain reaction of trying to catch up and reacting to whatever's happening to you. And then that carries through you for the rest of the day. So I remember, when I was, it's mainly like when you start your day late to work and then it's, 7:00 and I'm still like, I feel like I'm late to something and I feel like I have to like get to the next thing and I'm anxious and I'm nervous and I can't think straight. But if you start your day, like you said, with the most important thing, and you start your day very proactively, then the rest of your day is going to easily fall in place as being very proactive.
Another thing that has worked for me, which being honest, I'm not good at it, but at times I have been. I really want to get back in the habit. Is every day just taking 10 minutes at the end of every day and going through all my voicemails, text, to-do lists, and emails for the day, even the ones I've already read and opened. I think it's a really good habit to get in because I think we miss things. I mean, think about how fast we move. We miss things. So my dad, a long time ago, kind of, what's the word? He encouraged me to do that. And so I've had times when I've done it, and it's been so helpful. I mean, I often will find like an email or a text or something I just missed.
Oh, yeah.
I opened it, forgot to respond, forgot to follow up, whatever. And so doing that, I think, is a good practice to kind of stay on top of stuff. Just taking 10 minutes. Yeah. Another thing my dad's always said is, at the end of every day, every night, kind of recapping what was on your list for the day, your calendar, whatever it was, and seeing what got finished, what didn't, and then kind of dragging it to the next day and putting it on your calendar. I think, again, kind of measuring what it is that you set out to do and making sure you finish. Yeah.
Something else I was thinking about, I think this is most important for being proactive at work, is learning when and how to say no. And for me, I mean, I think the biggest struggle for every kind of white collar worker is email. Most people spend their day, they start their day with email, and then 10, 20 times throughout the day they're checking their email, responding to emails, and email is literally a reactionary thing. Like if you send out an email,
stop what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You have to stop everything that you're doing. Usually it's someone kind of like, you don't see that request coming, so then the email comes and they ask you for something. And I think that's really important, because if you say no to doing it right now and to doing it at a specific time, that helps you not be reactionary. But also saying no to meetings, saying no to requests from people, saying no to different things that people want you to do that's maybe not on your list. And it's important because if you don't have sort of the big rocks that you have in mind, if you haven't already planned, then there's no reason to say no. If someone asks you like, hey, can you go do this thing? And you're like, well, I really don't have anything else to do like right now that's urgent. Sure, I'll go do that thing. And then the big thing that you're supposed to do never gets done because you didn't have it at the top of your list. Mm-hmm. But if you start with that thing, then you can say, look, I'd really like to. I'm sorry, but I can't get this right now. Can you bring it back up next week? This week, this is the thing that I need to get done, and I want to get it done right now, or I want to get it as soon as possible. So, follow with me later, basically.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah. I like that.
One thing for me, this topic, it's easy for me to focus more on like work and like practical things. We didn't really talk about like spiritually or relationally. But I do want to say, I think these same principles apply to those areas. It's a little different, but I mean, the same concepts can easily apply.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think like spiritually too, one of the big things is if you're just reacting to what God is telling you, or you're just reacting to different things that are happening in your life. Mm-hmm. I think about like life events or decisions that you have to make, and I often find myself only like really pressing into God when there's something like big on my plate. And it's like, that's really lame. Like I should have already been in touch with, I should have already been pressing in and got with God. And then when this thing comes up, it's like God is already able to speak with me. But like I have to put myself in a place of like really pressing in. And then it's harder to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it takes longer and you're not in the right state of mind yet.
That's a good thought, or good subject you brought up. Thinking like, so emotionally being proactive, thinking about every morning, daily for myself, just trying to really prepare my heart, my mind for the day, like just kind of getting myself in like a mode of being really like locked in with the Spirit and kind of being close to God really daily, and starting off my day like that. That day, no matter what I encounter or go through, I'm locked in with Him, and it's going through those situations, interactions with people. It's like I can respond more gracefully and better when I'm locked in with the Spirit. But when I'm not prepared in that sense, I'm just reactive and I, don't respond well.
Yeah, it's easier to prevent the bad things that you can do in a day when you're locked in with the Spirit, when you start your day off right, and you can proactively work against that. Let the Lord do some work for you.
Fire, all good.
All good stuff, man. So lesson being, be proactive, not reactive. Take an assessment of your life. Look at your day to day, the things you want to get done, the things maybe that you're reacting too much to, and ask the Lord and ask others how you can be more proactive.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
All right, guys, make sure you do that to do the challenge. Make sure you go to the website, cultivateandkeep.com/challenge, and you can enter there. And besides that, we will see you on the next one.
All right. Later.
Bye.